All right, so in this video, we're gonna get down to the meat and potatoes. You didn't spend over $100 on a calculator to use it as a calculator. You spent it because of its graphing capabilities. So we're gonna take a look at how to graph a function with this. We'll turn the calculator on. Now my screen's a little blurry here, so I'm gonna try and adjust here. Oh, there we go. Okay, we'll turn the calculator on, and I'm gonna do that standard reset. So I'm gonna press second function, memory 712. And that'll reset my calculator back to nothing. Now, suppose I want to start graphing. Well, to graph, I'll go into y equals. This brings up a list of functions that I can choose to graph. So I can graph a line, and let's do that. Let's graph the line y equals x. We know what this line looks like. It's just a straight standard line bisecting the y-axis and the x-axis in the first quadrant. And we use it often to reflect across for inverses. So we'll take a look at the line y equals x. So I press y equals, and I used this button for x. I didn't use alpha and x down here. So this button right here, the one that's xt theta n, that's your variable button. Now we'll go ahead and press graph and just see what happens. So you can see my line y equals x, it appears. Now it's at this point that I will caution you about the aspect ratio of your screen. I think that this angle does not look to be 45 degrees. So it doesn't look to actually be bisecting in this quadrant. And that's because of the screen and the display features. Now, to show this to you more concretely, we're going to plot another line. So we'll press y equals. Now I'm going to plot a line that's perpendicular to y equals x. Remember, perpendicular lines have negative reciprocal slopes. A very common error when people are typing negatives is they'll use the subtraction button. Don't do that. Use the negative button. So I'm going to type -1 is my slope. I don't have to type the 1, but I'm going to. X. And I don't want this perpendicular line to intersect at the origin, so I'm just going to add a y-intercept. 7's maybe a little bit large, it might not show up. I'm going to add 2 as my y-intercept. And so we'll see another line show up. Now these two lines should intersect perpendicularly. You can clearly see that that is not the case. So be careful with your aspect ratios. So again, to recap, y equals will help us graph. We can graph many different functions. You use this to type your variables, after which you can type exponents on things. You can type additional variable expressions. And you can even type radical expressions or whatever you like, and it will generate a graph. Now, sometimes when you have a more complicated function to graph, you'll see where my battery is about to run out that this wheel will spin for quite some time. That last graph had a domain of x has to be greater than 0 because, again, we can't find the square root of a negative number. You can always scroll back and forth between your functions and your graphs by pressing y equals and graph. And that's a quick refresher on how your graphing calculator works.